Very good afternoon to everyone who's present here. Light is a symbol of brightness and prosperity. As sunlight expels the darkness of night, that's why in culture it symbolizes knowledge. Similarly, blessings bring prosperity and happiness. To make this summit a blessed one, we have started with the lamp lighting ceremony by invoking Goddess Saraswati. For the same, I invite Professor Dr. Raj, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, and Professor Vayasa Murthy to accompany our chief guests and the guest of honors to light the ceremonial lamp. Thank you so much, Professor Raj. Very good afternoon to everyone. I am Jindal Sharma. I, along with Purva Bhatia, will be the MCs for the day. We welcome you all for the second Jindal initiative on Advocacy and Litigation Summit. This educational initiative was started with the core principles of generating and creating awareness as well as imparting knowledge of litigation and advocacy amongst the students of law at Jindal Global Law School. With the second edition of the summit, we go a step closer to see our vision of imparting this quintessential knowledge of litigation and advocacy directly from the top legal in the industry to the students of this world-class institution and also to the guests that are taking part in the summit.
From the resounding success of the first summit, the second edition brings together a diverse set of lawyers, bringing about an emblematic relationship by not merely imparting knowledge, but also enabling a platform for dialogue between the legal luminaries as well as the students, especially the upcoming legal stalwarts that our nation has to offer. At this juncture, I would like to call upon Professor Dr. C. Rajkumar, our admirable founding Vice Chancellor for OP Jindal Global University, to give the inaugural address to start the summit.
A very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our very distinguished guests who have come all the way from Delhi and other parts of India to be present here. It reflects their extraordinary commitment and dedication towards the cause of legal education and to improve the standards of legal profession. This particular initiative that the university has promoted, known as the Jindal Initiative on Advocacy and Litigation Summit, is part of our 10th anniversary celebratory events and initiatives. As those of you who are here will know, that OP Jindal Global University and Jindal Global Law School began its journey on 30th September 2009 in a very modest manner with only 100 students and 10 faculty members. Today we have grown into a multidisciplinary university with 8 different schools and nearly 5,000 students and over 350 full-time faculty members in a nearly 100-acre fully residential campus. This journey that we began very modestly in the year 2009 due to the philanthropic initiative of our founding benefactor, Mr. Naveen Jindal, had brought us to the need for raising the quality of higher education and more specifically the quality of legal education. In fact, this particular initiative today is probably the most important initiative in the field of legal education, as it has been time and again lamented by both lawyers, judges, as well as academics that we have not had bright young law graduates coming into the legal profession. They have also lamented that steadily but surely the quality and standards of the legal profession has inflicted both the legal fraternity, but I dare say even the judiciary. And so we cannot address the problem of quality and excellence without inspiring young minds to consider law as a preferred career option, but more importantly, to consider even within the field of law, litigation and legal profession more broadly. That doesn't mean you need to make value choices as to whether you should enter into the corporate field or work as a transactional lawyer or as a litigator, or for that matter, work as an in-house legal counsel in a corporation or work for an NGO. In fact, the diversification of the legal profession has been one of the remarkable hallmarks of the post-globalization evolution of legal education. There was a point of time when, at least those of us in the panel, when they did law, the only possible option in terms of career was to enter into litigation. And of course, over the years, the diversification of legal profession has created not only numerous careers within the field of law, but also those who would like to move beyond the field of law. In fact, a few years ago, when we did a study relating to our own graduates, I was very happy to note that nearly 20% of our law graduates are moving out of law. The study of law helped them to become analytical in their approach, had a better sense of laws and regulation, even objective in their approach towards governance. But then they end up creating businesses. They become entrepreneurs. They work for other, they work for NGOs, civil society organizations, think tanks, research institutions, even academia. So that aspect of, diversification is critical. But even then, it is also recognized that some of the bright young law graduates ought to consider legal profession, particularly the litigating bar, as a preferred choice. They should aspire to become litigators and hopefully become judges in the years to come. And how do you inspire them? How do you motivate them? How do you create an intellectual vision and institutional imagination to enable young people to consider legal profession in all its forms and manifestations? And one of the ways by which we would like to promote is to be able to bring outstanding individuals who have made a mark in their own life, who have created an imprint about their own professional competencies, but also had made a significant contribution to the legal profession. These individuals who are present here on campus are exemplar in their own contributions, and they have taken time to be with us and to inspire our young people. As Jindal Global Law School and OP Jindal Global University move towards the celebration of its 10th anniversary, we deem it our duty and institutional responsibility to create a new vision for legal education in India. This vision ought to be inclusive, ought to recognize the importance of merit and excellence, ought to recognize that some of the bright law graduates need to come into litigation as we look at the future of the legal profession. So with those few words, I would like to once again extend a warm welcome to all the distinguished guests who are present here. All of them do not need any introduction, but all I can say is that almost all of them have been to our campus before, some of them more than once, but they all are passionate about the cause of legal education. They are passionate about the future of young lawyers. They are passionate about the importance of academic institutions and law schools, how they can shape the future of legal education. I must say that they could be doing so many other things on a Saturday afternoon, but they have chosen to come away from their workplace and their home and to spend this time with our students and our faculty. I am deeply grateful to each one of them for their presence here. In particular, I would like to thank Honorable Mr. Justice Banwar Singh, Mr. KTS Tulsi, Mr. Lalit Basin, Mr. Agarwal, as well as Ms. Pinky Anand, and our very good friends who are also going to be part of the panel discussion following this particular plenary, that we are indeed grateful to you, and I'm sure our students will richly benefit by your conversations and discussions today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. We are honored to have Justice Bhandler Singh as the chief guest of this summit. Justice Singh started his journey as a judicial magistrate first class. Later, he got promoted as a civil and assistant judge. He also presided over as a judge over the special CPI code. In his capacity, he decided many important criminal matters, including murder trials investigated by the Central Bureau of Investigation. He was the registrar of the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and then finally retired as a judge of the Honorable Allahabad High Court. It is an honor to have such an experienced judge and a legal luminary to grace this occasion of the second edition of our summit. I call upon you, sir, to say a few kind words.
Mr. Rajkumar, the Vice Chancellor of this University, the Senior Advocate Mr. KTS Tulsi, Mr. Lalit Bhasin, Senior Advocate, Madam Pinky Anand, Senior Advocate, Mr. Sundaram, Mr. Murthy, other faculty members, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. When I got the letter from this university about this topic, Campus to Court, I was reminded of an anecdote of Professor Dr. A.N. Jha, very popular Vice Chancellor of Allahabad University. In early 50s, he got Padam Bhushan in 1954. Once he was invited to address the final year students of law faculty on their farewell, and he addressed them. What he said, I would like to share with you. He said that, dear students, be prepared to be terrified by the judges with comprehensive attire and a wig on their heads. Then he said that the judges may or may not know law, but they will prove your arguments to be childish. Judges may be morose and taciturn, that they scarce open their lips. Judges waiting for the slightest pretext to make fun of you, manifestly unfriendly to your case. They may disturb your thoughts, and some judges go to sleep. In fact, it was a deterrence to the law students preparing for joining profession. But it was the time in early 50s after freedom that judges who were from the background of our ruling country then, that they used to frown upon the lawyers. But soon after, the Indian judges started taking over the scenario. The things became easier, and that was not the environment as it used to prevail with the presence of the English judges. With the emergence of lot of development in the legal education, particularly the universities like Jindal Law University coming up and emerging out to impart the legal education, now the things have changed entirely. Rather, if I say that during my 44 years in the judicial system, I witnessed the other way around. The lawyers in between dominated the scene. And if I talk in the context of Dr. Amarnath Jha also, I may be reminded of excellent judges in the early part of our constitution having been implemented in 1950. The first Indian judge of Calcutta Bar Association, Mr. Shambhunath, was an excellent judge. He had all the qualities of being not only a good judge but of a good human being. He was highly respected amongst the Calcutta Bar Association, and such a judge of human values who was full of courtesies, compassionate conduct, and charitable in his thoughts, can never prove to be a deterrent. I propose to encourage the law students present here to be amongst the profession, not that they should be deterred of the judges wearing comprehensive attire. Justice Mahmood of Allahabad High Court was also one of them. At the age of 32, when he was civil judge, he used to write such erudite judgments that one of the judges in Privy Council observed that he is spoiling his talent there in the district court. He deserves to be a high court judge, and immediately thereafter he became a high court judge. And he too was a man of principles when he suggested to the British government that the appeal of a murder convict should be heard by 2 judges. The British government did not agree to his proposal and he resigned. Judges are of that stature. They don't bother. What shall they do in future? Justice Mahmood, came to Aligarh to supervise his father's law college known as Oriental Law College, which subsequently became a university, Aligarh University of present days. And when the university was established and was on the rail track, then he went away to Lucknow to practice law in the Lucknow Bar Association. This was the enchantment for the legal profession to the legal luminaries. And I also remember that in the Supreme Court of early days, there were 5 judges who were not law graduates. After their retirement, 3 of them went to England, took the law degrees, and practiced law there. Legal profession is really an enchanting one. Friends, coming back to recapitulate some of the virtues, great virtues of judges, I would also like to mention one name, Mr. Justice M.C. Chagla, Chief Justice of Bombay High Court. He was for long 11 years the Chief Justice of Bombay High Court, and he had such a peaceful atmosphere of work environment that he considered the entire faculty of lawyers, judges, officials working in the High Court and in the district courts, the district judicial officers as one family. These are the values of a great judge. He initially was not liked by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru because he, being a very honest and upright one, submitted a report against the then Finance Minister T.T. Krishnamachari, and he earned applause from the entire country. But subsequently, Pandit Nehru appreciated his talent of being compassionate, being honest, upright, and fair. These are the virtues of a great judge. Socrates was a Greek philosopher, that a judge should possess 4 qualities, 4 virtues in him. 1, he should be of great courtesy is required on his part. He should be passionate to hear the arguments. He should appreciate. He should behave very well, and after deliberation must give his fair, just, and reasonable decision. Friends, for your knowledge, in earlier days, though the great philosophers like Socrates were not law graduates, but they could lay the law for the king, they could lay the law for the society. And it is how Socrates laid down as to what should be the qualities of a judge. Friends, Justice M.C. Chagla was later appointed ambassador to America, Cuba, and Mexico, and he earned applause there. And then he was appointed as education minister in the central government. He was also a minister of great Prime Minister of our country, Madam Indira Gandhi. Uh, Friends, there was one Chief Justice of Nagpur High Court, Mr. Vivian Bose, who subsequently came to Supreme Court also. He was a wonderful judge and full of courtesies, civility, and culture. I'll like to give one anecdote of his civility and good behavior. As Chief Justice, he was going to Nagpur High Court to preside over there, a court. On the highway, he came across an inspector whose jeep had gone out of order. He stopped his car. In those days, cars were not provided to the judges. He was himself driving his own car. So he offered, through his orderly sitting in the rear, that asked the inspector, does he need some help? The inspector welcomed, and Vivian Bose, being the Chief Justice, was a very good mechanic. He removed the defect of the inspector's jeep. But in the meantime, police walas, they are very intelligent people. He thought it was the wintry day, cloudy, and winds, chilly winds blowing. So he thought, why should not I sit in the car of this gentleman? And he, without taking permission, occupied the rear seat. Chief Justice did not object. He drove to Nagpur, and when Nagpur was, when he went close to Nagpur, then he asked, Inspector, where will you like to be dropped? He said to the police lines, and he dropped him. Later, Chief Justice went to the circuit house where the district authorities were waiting for him to welcome, and he was welcomed. Within a short while, a word came from outside that Shahar Kotwal wants to meet and pay his regards to the Chief Justice. He was allowed to be in, and seeing Vivian Bose, the same inspector who had occupied forcibly the rear seat of the Chief Justice, he saw he is the same person, and he collapsed and became unconscious. He was removed to the hospital. But then, after he was taken, then on the condition that police chief, you will not take any action, Vivian Bose narrated this story. It is how the judges work with their civilized nature. Justice Amarnath, Dr. Amarnath could be belied by such conduct of a Chief Justice. Friends, though there is galaxy of lawyers, KTS Tulsi, Pinky Anand, and Mr. Sundaram, Lalit Bhashin, when this galaxy of lawyers are there, I, having been a judge for a long time and never at the bar, I may not be in a better position to tell what the good qualities of an advocate should be. But briefly, for the young friends, I would like to say a few words about the legal profession after having discussed the great virtues of judges. I would like to have and share with you some principles of life. What are they? The principles of life with which you must carry forward and go ahead in your profession, whatever the profession it is. You may be a judge, you may be a lawyer, you may be a corporate lawyer, or you may also go to any other profession. I remember I'm associated with a law college. I teach constitutional law twice a week. I was interviewing some of the law students and was asking one question. What is your ambition in life? So everybody was saying either to become a judge or to become an advocate or a corporate lawyer. But one boy said that, sir, I would go for Mercedes dealership. Why? I asked. He said that, sir, there is a lot of money. My grandfather was a Mercedes dealer and he had crores of rupees in his pocket. While my father, who was sitting there with him, he is only a Tanishq general manager, bringing a few bucks towards the end of the month. This was the approach. Maybe whatever it was. It is everybody's ambition and nobody can check it. Once Barack Obama, when he was in high school, he, along with the other fellow students of his class, was asked by the class teacher as to what is your ambition in life. Please write an essay on it. In America, if you ask someone that what you would be aspiring for to become in your later years, in future, mostly people would say, I would become a tennis star, I would become a footballer, I would become doctor or scientist. It was Barack Obama who said that I want to become the president of America. And this firm determination helped him to become the president of America. Friends, narrating a few principles of life for you to follow in your life. Number one is the principle of confidence, principle of discipline. I'll take confidence later. Principle of discipline. This is a great virtue of every human being. Once a Gurukul student asked his Guru as to what the discipline is. The Guru replied that as river Ganga emanating from Gangotri, going thousands of miles away up to Ganga Sagar, always flows well within its banks. It never erodes. It never goes beyond its boundaries. This is the principle of discipline. Friends, sometimes less intelligent people with their hard work prove better than the talented ones. I was interacting with a senior advocate, Mr. Tulsi, in the office of the registrar, in the office of the vice chancellor. And he also referred to the hard work. There is no match to the hard work. Everyone, be any profession in life, hard work would always pay. Life is your journey, goals are your destination, and hard work is your set of wheels. So please follow the rule of discipline. The rule of discipline comprises of honesty, good conduct, a decent dress, well manners, and humility. These are the great virtues of every judge, every lawyer, or a corporate lawyer, or any other human being in any profession. Friends, then comes the principle of confidence. It's a confidence of a person which helps him go ahead. When Vasco da Gama set his voice in a boat in search of India, he was said mad, a mad person. But sailing through stormy waters, he explored India, and with great success. Friends, Mao Zedong, the China ruler, though a dictator, which is never a position which is never acceptable to those who are living in democracies, but all the same, it was his courage and confidence which led him to the power. Friends, the third principle is that of principle of punctuality. It is said that those who observe punctuality always win the race. When Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru used to come to his office, people used to match their watches. He was so punctual. once king of Nepal came to Vrindavan to have a darshan of Lord Bihariji, but he reached 1 minute late. The temple was closed. The district paraphernalia very earnestly requested the priest to open the door, but they did not, because they said that it would undermine the dignity of God. So friends, be always punctual. And if you want to know the value of time, then ask a person who has lost by 1 minute in his race, or who has won the race by a margin of 1 second. So friends, then come to the principle of decision making. There should be no hurry in taking decision. Rather, it should be a well deliberated one. But once you take a decision, then go ahead with it with firm determination. Like Arjun, who once being put on test by his guru in archery, he said that except the eye of the bird, nothing is visible to him. And he targeted at the bird's eye. Friends, Dhirubhai Ambani said, a great industrialist, I believe all of you know, that you should dream big. And our former President of India, Abdul Kalam, he would say that fulfill your dream before you go to sleep. Such a great thought. Friends, then principle of self-dependence, never depend upon others, depend upon yourself. And there are many anecdotes, I will not take that long a time, but that of Abraham Lincoln, Richard Fellow, who was a great flute player, Possing, who was a cinema poster boy and subsequently became a great painter, a great artist. And Michael Farad. Michael Farad was a book binder. Once binding a book which was torn into pieces, he came to learn that two things, if joined together, may create a third result, and he became a great scientist. Friends, these are the some examples which has helped great people to come at the top. Then, principle of positive approach and divinity. Friends, always be energetic. Never allow negative thoughts to enter your mind. Always always read newspapers, acquire pool of knowledge, journals of your interest. Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer, who lived up to 100 years of age, he was a Supreme Court judge, I believe all of you must be knowing it. He said that learning is a regular process and everyone must carry on with it, the desire to gain more and more knowledge. Friends, always read biographies of great people, famous lawyers and judges. And interestingly, when I visited this university first, perhaps more than 5 years back, and I came incognito, but I was taken to all the faculties, including the library. And I vividly remember that after I have seen a wonderful library of this university, I asked the librarian whether you have one book, The Famous Judges and Great Lawyers. He said, no sir, I don't have it. So I wrote the book's name, title, author. It is of Bombay High Court. And when I came second time, then I asked the librarian, with his commitment, he showed me that book that, yes, sir, it is here. I was glad. I would like all of you to read the biographies of great people Nariman has written before my memory fades. Also very recently, senior advocate Mr. Ramjit Malani. His autobiography has been written by an American who was here for 2 years. Her husband, who was a lawyer, inspired her to go and write the autobiography of a senior lawyer. And a very good biography. And then a few more famous judges. A judge from Allahabad High Court has also written his autobiography. My friends here, the galaxy of lawyers, they must know it. Justice Karju. It is the other way around that he was very vocal in the High Court, in the Supreme Court. And people say that when they used to appear in his court, he would teach them Hindi rather than hearing them in English. But he was otherwise a scholarly judge. I had the occasion to sit with him in the bench. But always good that I am reminded of the watch. Yes, certainly I must not take when such senior advocates are here and they are going to share with you the qualities of great lawyers. I know that the senior advocates who are here, how much loss they would be at by sparing a few hours here. But all the same, it shows their passion to interact with the young generation as to what they have, they must disseminate to you for their future life. Friends, Justice V.R. Krishna here said that it was never a pleasure to argue before a dull judge. So, it is only the intellectual exchange of mind of a judge and the lawyer that a good judgment emerges out. So friends, whenever you are arguing a case, though it is said on a lighter side that never argue in your life with two people. One, an advocate. The other, the wife. But whenever you argue before a judge, then you should captivate the attention of the judge. He should not be allowed to deviate or to think anything else except your arguments. That is the art of a great lawyer. And the judges must hear you spellbound. And also it is the other way around. The lawyers, when they go to courts, they must be fully ready. As I said, that with the permission of the galaxy, will take 5 more minutes to conclude my interaction with you, though only 3 minutes were given to have gone. But I take permission of the Vice Chancellor, the presiding person here. 5 minutes more, I would interact with you so as to share my thoughts with you. Friends, once a judge was hearing the arguments very patiently, and he asked a question. Since it was a pinching question to the lawyer, he reacted. It happened in High Court, Allahabad. Judge kept quiet. He did not lose his temper. But towards the end of the arguments, he said that, my friend, I would have dismissed your case just at the drop of your mind because you hit at me. He did not dismiss, he adjourned the case. Because of the prejudice he developed, he deferred the hearing of the case. And it is always said that a judge's mind should never suffer from bias and prejudices. A judge is expected to be not the judge of his own interest. So it is considered that a judge should be fair in all respects. Never underestimate a judge is the next quality of a good lawyer. And once Mr. Abdul Kalam, the former president, was interacting with the young students, and he asked how many of you would desire to become the great scientists. Many hands came up. Then he asked how many would you be lawyers and doctors. Every time there were many hands raised. The last question he put was, how many of you would become the politicians? Not one hand came up. But then he suggested that if people like you, who are the young generations, will not become great politicians, the politicians today are expected to be above all suspicions. Every day or the other, every evening is spoiled hearing this controversy or that controversy amongst the politicians. But in this context, what I would say, that you should also prefer to become judges. These days, the judges get very attractive salary and also many perks. You should think of, take a deliberate decision, well deliberated, after consultation with your friends and family members. But it should be your decision, either to become a judge or a lawyer. And always be submissive in the courts. Humility is the best virtue of a human being. As an advocate, never use an unparliamentary language. And it is also expected of a judge that he should never misbehave with lawyers. Friends, never show disrespect to anyone, to your opposite side lawyer, even if he is provoking you. And be little humorous also. I may narrate one anecdote from Allahabad High Court. A judge sitting on the bench lost his temper during arguments and said, "I cannot teach you mathematics." Then the lawyer arguing said, "Sir, what is the harm if you teach us mathematics when we teach you Hindi?" So some lighter moments may also be there. And never lose your confidence if you lose a case. Success and defeat are the normal routines of a legal profession. Winston Churchill failed in 6th grade, but with defeats and setbacks of life, he became Prime Minister of India. And the last anecdote of great Prime Minister of England, Churchill, who had given us freedom. He, during the Second World War, was said that Churchill is a mad person. He got arrested by Churchill and put behind the bars. Next day, there was a great agitation in the parliament. Churchill rose to speak that, yes, I do admit, when we have a fundamental right of freedom of speech, he should not have been arrested. And he rightly said that Churchill is mad, but he disclosed this secret during the World War II. So, little bit of humor must also be there. Friends, with these words of mine, I bless you all with a very bright future, and I thank Dr. Raj Kumar having given me this opportunity, also Dr. Murthy, and my host, Mr. Chetan Singh. I'm not looking, he's not visible, perhaps he must be here. Yes. I'm grateful that I'm given this opportunity to have interaction with you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I call upon Mr. Jindal, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India, to deliver his address.
Professor Rajkumar, my fellow panelists, and dear students. I know one thing, that I'm not going to give a sermon. And the second thing that I know, I'm not going to blow my own trumpet. What I want to do is to go to your level. We've all been through law schools. What was it when we were students? What are the fears? What are the aspirations that we had? I can talk about that. Well, it was like this song is, of course, from Three Idiots. कि अंडा क्या जाने कि उसका फ्यूचर क्या होगा, लाइफ मिलेगी यहाँ तवे पे फ्राई होगा. Well, that's exactly perhaps the state of mind that you may have. We don't know what's in store. But I would like to say that I was one of the most unremarkable students in my college and in the law school. So you must take heart. Unremarkable people can make it. I was actually an introvert. I was shy. I was afraid of communicating with people until I came across a bunch of very good friends who bonded very well with each other, and all of us became public speakers. I would be there in every debate, and I would be there in every moot. I owe my success, if you call it, to mooting. And I was secretary of the Moot Court Society in the Department of Laws in Punjab University for 2 years. I got taken in by moots and by extemporary speaking that we constituted a Saturday afternoon debating and moot society. So every Saturday we would have a moot. I would prepare the problem, circulate it, put it on the notice board, request to teachers, and the head of the department used to give us 100 rupees to buy prizes, 50 rupees for the first prize, 30 for the second, and 20 for third. And it so happened that in a row, about 10 times I got a first prize. So the students went to the head of the department and said that I should be debarred from contesting because I have an unfair advantage. I have an unfair advantage because I make a problem on which I have already worked. So I get more time to prepare. And then the second complaint was that he always buys books of his choice. He never buys books which we want. And whenever they would suggest a book, I used to say that, no, I've already read that. So I'm going to have another one. I got over my shyness. And I realized it was easy to make the transform yourself. It's the moot, that was the final moot. And Justice Narula came to preside over it. Justice Dhillon was sitting with him. It is as if it was yesterday. The problem was on 377, constitutional validity of 377. It took us 40 years, 50 years to get rid of it. We argued. There were 6 finalists, we argued. And it's besides the point that I got a prize. What changed our life, all 4 of us, were the remarks of Justice Narula as a presiding judge while giving away prizes. And he said that the students who have argued today in this moot court are better than 90% lawyers of my court. We had all 4 of us filled up our forms for civil service exam, and we had all got the admit cards. But it was such a huge compliment which came from the Chief Justice that we all went to the lake, tore up our admit cards and threw them in the lake. And we decided that we are going to earn our bread through spoken word. You see, there is uncertainty about the future in this profession. But it's that uncertainty which suddenly makes you a star. You just need one break. You don't need too many breaks. And when I had become a lawyer, my father was a class fellow of Mr. Sybil, the elder Sybil, and he took me to him. And Mr. Sybil said to me, "Young man, remember, opportunity knocks at every door. You just don't know when it is going to knock. But if you are ready, grab it with both hands. Don't let it go." When I became a lawyer, I joined a senior. But I was impatient to be successful. It was barely, my juniorship with a senior lasted 6 months. In those 6 months, I must have made 600 appeals, researched, assisted, and every Friday evening, he used to invite both me and my friend. We were like brothers. And he used to hand over an envelope containing 50 rupees. And then he would hand over another envelope containing 50 rupees to his son. But 50 rupees was a huge amount. And yet, the question is, what did I make of it? We would get cases to argue from the Advocate General. For opposing a bail, we used to get 32 rupees. I was once going to the court to argue, when all of a sudden, one of my father's class fellows put his hand on my shoulder and he says, "Barkhurdar, ये अपना बच्चा है जिसकी bail application आज आ रही है." So I was wild. I thought that how could anybody try to influence me? I'm a professional, I have to do my job, and no one can tell me anything. So I went back, instead of going to the court, I went to the library, I took out the full bench judgment on anticipatory bail. These were emergency days. And I came back and argued for 45 minutes and got that anticipatory bail dismissed. And when we were walking out of the court in the corridor, the same gentleman tells me, "तू अपने प्यो तो कटता नहीं निकलिया, सारी advocacy मेरे ते कट दी," which I thought was the greatest compliment that I got in my life. You see, in this profession, you have so much freedom that this freedom is priceless. You join any service, you're subject to a discipline. In this profession, you can get up on day one and tell the Chief Justice of India I'm sorry, my lord, but that's not correct. You can say that. You can't do this in civil service. You can't do this in corporate service. You can't do it anywhere. If you're a cog in the wheel, then you are stuck for the rest of your life. If you want to fly, face hardship. Face hardship when you are young. And the greater the hardship, greater is the reward. You could actually shine as a star. Even if you were to judge success in terms of monetary gains, the gains that you will make in this profession are incomparable. They're even more than Bollywood. So I want to say that face the hardship. The Vice Chancellor will please ring the bell if I overstay. Have I more time? How did I make it? I can't sermonize. I can only relate to you as honestly as I can about my own life. You see, there are very few cases which you come by. And this profession has strict discipline. You cannot advertise. Your reputation travels by word of mouth. And when the reputation travels, it will begin to travel only if you have an opportunity. But I started doing cases as amicus, legal aid cell, murder cases, murder and dacoity cases, big cases. And I remember I once argued whether the death was due to poison or not, and I got, in a legal aid case, relief from the court. Justice Sarkaria was the judge, and he actually wrote a compliment to me in the judgment. That was a great reward. And it gives you so much of a pep and confidence that I felt I kept flying for a number of days. Because there are few cases, what do? Either you sit and chat in the library or in the canteen, or you do something else. So I started a law journal. A law journal which used to cost me the cost of paper, cost of printing. I was the editor, I was the salesman, I was the proofreader, everything. Sushma Swaraj was associate editor with me. She was only 2 years junior to me, but we were together in the law college. She never did anything. I had to do all the job. But you see, I couldn't afford to buy judgments for being able to select which one to report. So I would borrow the file from the bar library and I would bring it home with the assurance to the librarian that it will reach him before the court opens. So I would get the file containing 100 or 150 judgments and then go through those judgments, select the ones, make catchwords, make head notes. The stenographer used to come next morning and I would dictate and get everything done and return the file. And then it would be sent to the printer. There were no computers. Everything had to be done manually. Read the proofs, get it printed, and I wanted it to be the best law journal in the country. I styled it after the law journal, which is published from England. I never made any money in that process. But I gained a lot of confidence. I got to know how judgments are written. I got to know how judges analyze. I got to know how judges decide to go one way or the other. And I still had extra time. So I wrote a book, started writing a book, digest. I said Indian digests are useless. I'm going to make a digest which will be styled after Halsbury's. So I made a digest of accident claims cases. And the first time I got money in excess of 10,000 was the royalty, 25,000. And I bought a car. I bought a second-hand car. The break came to me when one of the leading law firms' partner came to me in Chandigarh and said, here is the chairman of Lipton's who's being prosecuted for excessive iron filings having been found in the tea that they are selling, and he's being prosecuted. So I had so much confidence in my own understanding of the law of quashing. I said, this case can't go on. He says, can you draft a petition? I drafted the petition in 2 hours. He took it to their lawyer in Calcutta, and that lawyer said, I want to meet this young man. So Lipton's took me to Calcutta. And lo and behold, my fee was 1,100 a day. I came back much encouraged from that, and the Brook Bond came to me. We were holidaying in Mussoorie during the summer vacation, and the Brook Bond came. He said, why are you here? We take you for a holiday to Simla and pay you for it. So I went with my wife from Mussoorie to Simla, and I argued. I got about 15 cases to argue all over the country, and we got all of them quashed. What I'm saying is that the opportunity comes. The real turning point in my career was a friend of mine says to me that KPS Gill has come to Chandigarh. He is scouting for a lawyer, and I want to bring him. He wants to consult you. Okay, consult me. He came, and he said that there's a murder case which has been filed against, he was a DIG at that time. A murder case is filed against the DIG, against Commissioner, SP, and additional SP, 4 accused. And they say sanction has not been taken. I said, look, sanction, I knew the judgments inside out. So I said, he showed to me the petition which had been filed in the Supreme Court. And I read that, and I said to him, I'm sorry, but this doesn't have the right grounds. He says, what do you mean? This has been drafted by a former judge of the High Court. I said, even if he's former judge of the Supreme Court, I can tell you that these are not the grounds on which you can win. You can win this case, but not on these grounds. Anyway, he went back after 20 days or 25 days. His father came to my house, and he says, he has been trying to ring you up. Those were the days when you used to have to book a call. And he is not able to speak to you. Will you come to Guwahati and argue his case? And I argued the case. And they doubled my fee. It became 2,200. So what I'm wanting to say is that the world is the limit to the opportunities which a lawyer can have. I have been requesting the faculty, go to old men's homes, old people's homes. They have problems. They have problem about their will, about their property, about their pension, about their insurance. Do this. If you have seen Erin Brockovich, feel concerned about the poison that is being mixed in our water, in drinking water. How many marriages you can save, even as students, by giving them correct advice, because you will obviously look at things from a neutral perspective. I want to say to you, in this country, justice has gone beyond the reach of a common man. You people can save them. Have a bit of idealism. Change this world. Get them justice. Each one of you can do invaluable service. In the process, you will be building your own career. And one day, you will shine. Thank you.
Okay.